If it looks like I'm having the worst day of my life, it's because I am. On this episode of 427 Motorsports, it's time to turn to the Impreza, which, oh, let's just cut the intro. This is Emmy, my 2001 Subaru Impreza WRX Wagon. Now, long-time viewers of the channel will probably remember this car from a video I did a while back called Emmy Building the Gran Turismo Dream. I've had this car since I was, I think, about 17 or 18 when it was originally a silver non-turbo wagon. I couldn't afford the insurance on a big turbo boy, I was only a kid. But over lockdown, I turned it into the Gran Turismo dream car that I always wanted, a Cashmere Yellow wagon with a turbo. And I loved it. It was my daily driver, it never let me down, it was fantastic. Until one time it did, and then it wound up being parked up for about 2 or 3 years. Which now, sadly, is why you see it in the state that it's in today. Not doing donuts in the snow at the top of Carcachook, it's sitting in the garage with the entire rear end pulled out of it, with an MOT field sheet larger than I've ever seen. As you can probably see here, this is why. I was told a long time ago that this rear subframe was on borrowed time, but I didn't realise just how bad it was. And unfortunately, the rest of the car also followed suit. With a list of advisories longer than I've ever seen, it's time to get stuck into the Impreza and see just how bad she really is, and if it's even worth saving her at all. It's this snail's home, we can't get rid of that. Okay, so I'm coming to near the end of the first day, and all I have left to drop now is the subframe itself. I can't be arsed fucking around with the handbrake cables because they can be a bit of a pain in the ass on these, so I'm just going to drop the whole lot and leave the hub sitting on the ground. It'll make sense when it comes to it, I swear. Let's have a little bit more look at the rust. So as you can see, this whole arch pocket here is just deleted. And then the inner arch there, hopefully the camera picked that up, is also deleted. So we've got to do 2 back arches. Then we've got to hope that what we take off in there isn't too bad either. Like, once we get the subframe down, we have to hope that there's nothing wrong there. Apparently there's a fuel leak too, so need to drop the tank, which I'd have to do the welding anyway, so that's not the biggest of deals, but it's another thing, you know. So as you can hopefully see here, I've got the calipers off now, and the rear shocks are off, and they're over there. So the next step is to disconnect the drag shaft, and there's 2 arms that connect to the actual body of the car. Take them off, and the anti-roll bar. I think probably the exhaust will have to be disconnected as well to clear that, and then we can drop the subframe. Now, the thing with these Subarus is that the captive nuts in the chassis leg can rot away, and a lot of the time if you want to remove the subframe, you have to drill holes in the boot floor, which you can see we've had to do in the past with this thing, and then put a nut and bolt through, so I'm going to have to do that as well. As you can see, it definitely needed replaced. There's no 2 ways about that. It's annoying that, you know, all this other rot is here. There's little enough for it to be annoying, but there's enough for it need to be sorted, so it is what it is. Okay, I think it's time to drop the subframe now. We should be all good. That jack is so slow. I think it's still, there we go. Oh, now we're talking. Okay. 1 rear subframe out of the car. Now, that's it's not ideal. Not the prettiest, not the worst. It does help we were at this not that long ago, and I suppose these parts above this wouldn't have been exposed to the elements, but the subframe itself is absolutely knackered. Yeah, that'll do it. What's it like over here? I mean, we already know it's bad, but let's have a tap. Let me hit that. Yeah, that's done. So, subframe out and spirits very low, I thought it would be a good idea to start cleaning up some of the nuts and bolts that I took off the car. I did buy some new nuts and bolts with money that people had spent on t-shirts, thank you all so much, but there were some things I couldn't get, so I made a point of protecting what I have, which means I went and got some Lana Guard. We've covered Lana Guard before. I didn't use it on my car, but I was pleased enough with the results. I basically just don't want to have to do this again in a few years' time, so I thought I'm taking every single precaution I can to protect this as much as possible. So for the car itself, I'll be using Dinitrol on any of the patches that we weld in, and then for any of the components I'm using Lana Guard because you can still see the stuff that you put it onto. It goes on clear and gives it like a satin finish. So what I began to do was to take all of the arms and components that I need off of the old subframe, started to clean them all up and cover them in the Lana Guard so I could set them onto the new subframe. Thankfully the nuts and bolts on all of these were as good as new because they were fitted with the new arms not that long ago. Thankfully the new subframe I'm putting in is 10 times better than that old thing we took off. And here's all the rest of the components covered in the Lana Guard as well. I had KYB shocks and teen lowering springs and I didn't really want them to go downhill either, so I covered them in Lana Guard as well. Should look pretty damn good once it all goes back together. I mean, it looks good sitting here on the floor. With that done, me and Dad decided to tear into fitting the two bushes to the diff carrier. Because this is the subframe from a later model, a Bug-Eye, the diff carrier is about the only difference on them. So we managed to get it pressed in with the vise in a very old school way of doing things, but hey, it worked. With that done, I went under the car to have a little look at everything else while I was taking the exhaust off, and unfortunately, well, there was more rot. It's actually heartbreaking. Like, this filler neck was replaced not that long ago either, and the dirt just catches in here, and then every bolt snapped as I took it off because it's Japanese crap. On all the Volkswagens I've worked on, it's really not that common for bolts to snap, but just whatever these Subaru ones are made out of all those years ago, they just really don't come off very well, and to be honest, it's really disheartening when you're working on something like this that you love so much and it just keeps breaking in so many new ways. Soul destroying, like, I mean, it's every fucking thing you take off, it's either snapped because these Subaru bolts are made from bloody nothing. I mean, they're 24-year-old, but like, it wasn't parked in the fucking sea. Or it's brackets you're taking off and they're rotten. Like, I mean, yes, you can buy all this stuff new still, but it's just fucking, it's soul destroying, like. So yeah, that's where this video is gonna end. I'm just at a point of absolute shittiness right now. This car wasn't bad only a few years ago. It was put on a spit, a whole load of work was done to it. It was well protected at the time, but just being parked in a shitty place is just, it's as good as fucking killed it. If this was any of the others, I'd have scrapped it probably. I'd have been sensible enough to walk away because it is just, it's everything. You're fighting against every single thing that you take off, and yeah, it's just soul destroying. But I'm kind of in it too deep now, and it's my favourite car out of everything I own, so it has to be done. So thank you very much for watching. I know this hasn't been overly what's the word, inspiring or great, but it is what it is. Yeah, there is a t-shirt if you want to support this build and help me get more crap to try and fix it. Check out the web store. They'll put it here. It's Cashmere. This is a Cashmere Yellow Impreza. Cashmere is a song by Led Zeppelin, so I tried to make it look kind of like a band t-shirt. I don't know. But every penny from it has gone towards nuts and bolts, as you've seen. So should make it all nicer going back together. Now it's going to go towards more brackets and panels and God knows what else, quite frankly. Yeah, so I know I'm not in great form, as you can probably tell. Yeah, I've been Tomo. This is 427 Motorsports. Thank you so much for watching. It means a lot, and I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check out the Discord, which I'll put in the comments below if you want to talk cars. And yeah, that'll do. Chat to you later, and good luck.